Welcome to another quarantine edition of Kazi Big Boy Trev. I am Big Boy Trev.
My name is Mirigi.
And today we have an amazing show, including something from China, the Greatwall Peace series. But first things first.
Let's check out the news.
So on to our first news item, and we go all the way to China, Shanghai to be precise. And a company called Greatwall Motors have just introduced the P series pickup. The P standing for POW. Now, this particular pickup looks like something from Japan called a Tundra. It's massive, it's big, it looks amazing. Now, here are the facts. You have two engine choices from start. You have a 2-liter turbo petrol that produces 125 kilowatts and 360 newton meters of torque. Or if you have more power and torque, then you can take the diesel one. 145 kilowatts and 400 newton meters. All that power sent to the four wheels, courtesy of ZF 8-speed automatic. Technology, amazing. You do have so many things like lane departure assist, level 2 autonomous driving. But Mr. Mirigi, this it's showing that the Chinese guys are actually trying to push the level as far as getting into the big boy zone is concerned. What do you think the chances of the Greatwall have in as far as competing with the likes of the Ranger and Hilux?
Well, I mean, so far, based on what we saw, like in India, everybody is stepping up their game.
Yes.
So it's not just like your Ford doing a partnership with Volkswagen. It's not just your Toyota and the likes. So the days of people sitting on their legacy and not improving their vehicles for a very long time, those days are gone right now. Everybody is stepping up their game. Ford Ranger came in and shook the market. Absolutely. You saw what happened with the Amarok. So now what we're seeing beginning now with Mahindra, and then of course now with Greatwall, is that the new players into the market are coming in, and they're coming in with serious products at seriously competitive prices.
Absolutely, and you can imagine, if you look at the torque figures, they're not as powerful as a Ranger or a Hilux, but it shows that the Chinese have actually studied these particular products, because if it means you have low power, it means your car will be more efficient. It means that your engine will last longer, and of course now they're concentrating more on the creature comforts. So imagine having level 2 sort of autonomy on a pickup. Well, the Ranger has it, and many others are coming with it, but it shows you that the level of quality that the Chinese are actually putting into this product, it means it's going to be a global product, and we can't wait to sample this particular pickup. So we understand that's going to be launched in Sub-Saharan Africa before the end of this year, hopefully, if this COVID situation goes out. And of course, we can't wait to have this particular pickup on the floor right here on Kazi Big Boy Trev. Now, let's go all the way to Stuttgart, Germany, where we were last year, and we observed the EQS Mercedes, which is the electric version of the S-Class. It's based on the EVA platform, which means electric vehicle architecture. Now, as the world is moving towards electric cars, Mercedes have actually tried to push the envelope to meet the certain demands of certain customers who love power and performance. Now, currently, the Porsche, it's a Taycan? Yes? Taycan and the Model S by Tesla are the kings of absolute power and torque delivery. But this Mercedes EQS AMG will have a 100 kilowatt battery that produces 600 horsepower and 900 newton meters of torque, sent to the two motors courtesy of an advanced drivetrain system that provides four-wheel drive assistance, meaning more grip and more power delivery towards the road. Acceleration 0 to 100 in less than 4 seconds, and of course top speed of 250 kilometers, which is limited by German law. Mr. Mirigi, you saw the EQS last year at Frankfurt. What are your thoughts? Is Mercedes now trying to get into the zone?
Well, I mean, for me, this just means that electric cars have become mainstream at the moment, because what you're looking at is we have economy models like some of the stuff we saw when we were in India. We have mainstream models like the Nissan Leaf and the like, and then you're starting to see people doing stuff at the high end. So of course now there's the Porsche Taycan. We have of course the Audi e-tron, which was actually an interesting car we also saw on that side. So I think what people are realizing is that the car market itself is pretty wide. It talks to different kinds of customers. So there's also going to be space in the electric market for the higher end, more discerning customer. So the Mercedes guy is not going to be left behind just because he's concerned about the future. Of course, now using less fossil fuels and the like, you will still be able to have fun. And I think what this is showing when you have an AMG electric car is that electric cars are also going to be fun. So even for petrol heads, you don't need to worry about being able to drive it around a corner. You'll still be able to do that stuff in the lap of luxury, because that S in EQS, that's like the same S in the S-Class, Sonda class.
Sonda class.
Yes. So they're making sure that you're doing this in the lap of luxury, which is something that Tesla has not had a very good experience of doing so far. So to see the major German guys like Porsche and Mercedes coming into this and taking it extremely seriously is a great look at the future of electric cars.
Step inside the spacious cabin of this particular car and I can tell you it's full of German premiumness. What am I talking about? It's a hatchback. However, because we know Germans love precision, they love quality products, you can even tell that the lower end of the spectrum, this particular Polo still has premium touch and effects. So you can see soft touch dashboard, meaning it's plush, and obviously you do have some stainless steel metallic excerpts on the buttons and as well on the infotainment system. Speaking of that, center console, as always, you can see on top you do have the air conditioning vents actually, and then right below it you have a series of buttons. So if the ESP button, you have the rear window defroster and obviously your hazard, and right below it you do have an entertainment system. This is a standard Volkswagen system which houses FM, radio, USB connectivity and SD card, and obviously auxiliary. So we're going to test out how the quality is. See, baby girl, please, baby girl, Joe for me. I'ma get Joe for me. Reach a sexy. It's good quality DAB sound courtesy of Volkswagen, and obviously you do have the opportunity to listen to different types of music as you'd enjoy it on a long distance cruise with this particular Polo. And right below it you do have the climate control. Obviously it's a standard one, it has AC, it's not dual zone, but it just works perfectly, and you have different temperature settings, and obviously you do have even rear defrosting, which is very important in this day and age, and obviously recirculating air. In these days of corona, you have to use and breathe your own air, which makes it much safer. Right below it you do have plenty of cubby holes and spaces. You do have a 12-volt socket, and then the cubby hole and the drinks holder, actually two of them, and obviously the gear shift is just a standard Tiptronic functionality gearbox, which works actually. We're going to try it out later on as we drive this particular car. And you have a standard handbrake. No more electric handbrakes, not yet, not on this level, so it's just a standard pull-up handbrake, and you enjoy driving this particular car. So it's a standard basic, get it done anytime, and then that's the beauty of having this particular car. Let's move to the instrument pinnacle. It's clear and precise. The wordings are typical Volkswagen with the light blue hue, and you do have the tachometer on the left, the speedometer on the right, and in between it you do have a multi-information display which is monochrome, which gives you all the details, including something like temperature, the range of your fuel capacity. It also tells you if the doors are open. Of course, it gives you all the vital info that you need while driving this particular Polo. Switches, dials, amazing. I can tell you, still the typical European style where you have a dial knob where you can control the lighting from the fog lights to the rear lights, and obviously the full beam, and obviously you do have your wiper settings, and obviously the indicator stock, which is on the left. You probably get used to it when driving it at first. You probably think it's on the right side, but it's on the left. Steering, obviously you do have satellite buttons. On the left you do have the audio system controls, which you can control the volume right now. Right, and mute it. And on the right hand side you do have Bluetooth and connectivity settings, so you can pick up your phone call without taking your hands off the wheel as it's connected towards the system. Comfort, this particular car is very comfortable. It has tilt adjustable steering wheel, as you can see, depending on your height. If you're short, if you're tall like me, and you can have telescopic as well. So depending on the seating arrangement, you are very comfortable in this particular car. The seats, very supportive, firm, as you can see. The texture, it's got a dual tone sort of texture, which makes it easier to clean actually, and it's very supportive. I can even feel the lumbar support is good on the back. So driving this particular car would make a lot of sense in it, and makes just it's comfortable. It feels like I'm in a Passat or a Polo or a Jetta. Very comfortable car. The seating position is fantastic. You have no blind spots, zero blind spots. You can actually see all the four corners, and you're able to enjoy the Polo quite confidently. that's it. Let's go to the back and see if Mr. Murigi is comfortable with my height and tell us the practicality of the boot, courtesy of Cars with Big Boy Trev.
So coming to the back of the Volkswagen Polo Vivo, and there's a surprising amount of space in the back here. It's also very light and airy. What they've done is that although the bottom and the seats over here have a dark color, the roof has a very light color, and there's a lot of space over here from the windows, bringing in a light and airy background, giving you the illusion that there's more space than there actually is in the back here. Seat is set over here for Trevor's sitting position. He's 6'1" and he's a big boy, but there's still enough space for me over here, and there should be enough space for 2 adults to sit here very comfortably. Because there is no actual handrest at the back here, there is actually a very flat surface here for somebody to sit in between. And in terms of space, you have 1 cup holder in the back here and a few cubby spaces in the back here as well. Seeing as this is a car that is for families, it actually also has ISOFIX points for child seats. But let's check out the boot to see just how much space this Polo Vivo has available. Coming round to the back of the Volkswagen Polo Vivo, and the boot opens to reveal a really large space over here. We have 280 liters for the boot itself, but you can actually lie these seats back flat and have an access to 900 liters of boot capacity. That's a lot of space, and it's easy to use because it's pretty wide and very deep. Inside here, we actually have a full-size spare tire, which is very interesting for a car in this segment. So let's take this on the road and see what the Polo Vivo has to offer.
We are driving this particular car outside Lusaka Road, well-paved roads, and I can tell you it is very smooth to drive, even for your urban commute, which ideally would be the roads that this particular car would be in. Now, let's talk about the performance of the car. This particular car has a 1.6-liter multi-point fuel-injected engine, which is petrol, that produces 77 kilowatts and 158 newton-meters of torque, that accelerates like this. Yes, it doesn't have a turbo, but it's smooth and it picks up quite gradually, and you are able to drive this particular car. And obviously, the best thing that Volkswagen have done is to remove the Tiptronic DSG gearbox, and now it has an ISIN 6-speed automatic. And this is a reliable form of the gearboxes that are coming with Volkswagen vehicles. Remember, the DSGs have had a lot of issues, especially in the country, even globally, because the mechatronic parts and aspects of the mechatronic sensor that controls the shifting of the gearboxes, sort of mess up and they hang, and just too many issues. But with this ISIN gearbox, it is a full automatic, so DSG, and if you're wondering, DSG means direct shift gearbox. It's basically 2 gearboxes with a clutch that one interchanges and preloads the next one so that you have faster shifts. The obvious inherent advantage of having this particular automatic gearbox is fuel efficiency. Now, I'm driving this particular car at around 60 kilometers an hour on Mombasa Road, and the gauge tells me that I'm doing about 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not bad for everyday commute. Remember, Nairobi is also a big metropolis, and there's plenty of traffic, and you need a car that is very fuel efficient, and this particular car is so efficient. Let's talk about the drivetrain. Now, power is sent to the front wheels courtesy of this 6-speed automatic gearbox, and obviously the suspension is McPherson struts at the front, and of course multi-link rear suspension that keeps this car steady on any surface. Again, ground clearance is amazing in this particular car. It's not a typical off-roader, but it does offer some good ground clearance as compared to the grey imported Polos. Now that gives you an added advantage. The noise, vibration and harshness is something that I actually love. What Volkswagen have done is added padding on the transmission tunnel and the different parts of the engine bay, the firewall, just to isolate the engine sound from the cabin so that you have a more relaxed drive. Safety-wise, this particular car, it's so important to have a car that is very safe. So on the active front, you do have anti-lock braking system with brake force distribution, which sort of comes at your aid in an emergency, and of course ESP to mitigate any rollover effect. But in case of an brake system, you can rely on the dual airbags that come as standard in this particular car, retractable seat belts at the front and the back, and of course the sturdy passenger cell that protects you and your family from harm, which is very important in this day and age. And it's so important to make sure that you're driving a car that is safe and locally assembled. Now, you want to find out the real value for money proposition, but I'm gonna hand it over to Murigi to give us low down on what he feels about the handling of this particular car, courtesy of cars with Big Boy Trev.
So Trevor has already taken you through a lot of what this car is capable of doing, and me, what I'm going to talk about is basically its handling, because this car is built really well. I think Trevor had already mentioned the fact that this is German engineering executed by Kenyans, of course 9 thicker, but I have to say this is doing really well. Now, one of the things they did to make it work for our market is that they have raised this car by 15 millimeters. Now, this was done at the factory just to make sure that the raising of the car does not affect the handling. And so far, I have to say it has actually done a really good job. They've raised the car so it can go through a lot of the bumps, a lot of the potholes that you encounter on a regular basis when you're driving in Kenya, but it has done nothing to take away from what you usually feel when you're driving a car like this. The control weights, what we call now how you feel when you're feeling the steering, it feels nice and heavy at low speed, gives you the feeling of stability. The engine is perfectly matched to this gearbox. This gearbox is, of course, now that ICE gearbox that Trevor was talking about. Very reliable 6-speed gearbox, and it seems to already imagine what gear you're in. You don't fight with it at all. You just have a very comfortable experience. Now, when you put your foot down and start doing some corners, like what you're doing right now, the car holds itself really well. So you get a feeling of stability.
So guys, you've extensively driven the Volkswagen Polo, and I can tell you for a fact, this is premium German quality on our Kenyan roads, built by Kenyans, for Kenya, and obviously at a Kenyan price. Speaking of price, Mr. Mirigi, how much is this car and what are the financing options available?
Well, if you're just walking in and you wanted to buy it cash, this car costs 1.69 million shillings, but there are financing options available. And when you say financing, you have up to 100% financing available with the big reputable banks. But just to give an example of what that might look like, if you're doing a 5% deposit, it means you're dropping about 85,000 shillings and then paying 32,000 shillings a month for up to 6 years to own this car. And that's coming with a 3-year, 120,000 kilometer warranty. And you have an option of choosing between getting free fuel for 1 year or free service for up to 3 years. So that's actually all you're doing. So you can imagine for 32,000 shillings a month, you're getting the car, insurance, and either free fuel or free service.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mirigi, for that insightful information. And of course, you can get this car anytime at DTW. But we believe in cars with Big Boy Trev, we have to give you absolute value for money. We're going to ask, why should I buy a brand new 1.67 million Kenya shilling Polo, yet I can still import one for close to 1.3 million Kenya shillings? Well, this is about value for money proposition, and we believe in giving value for money. Now, when you import a brand new car, there's something called severity index, which probably you do not know. This means tropicalizing your vehicle to meet the local conditions. Now, Mr. Mirigi, if you can pass me the insightful information that I have, courtesy of Cars with Big Boy Trev, I did an analysis of how much it would cost you to tropicalize your grey import Polo, and this is how much it's going to cost. So, tropicalization basically means bringing your car up to speed to meet the local conditions. So it means changing your softer suspension into harder suspension, coil springs, and of course the shocks, changing your radiator to meet our tropical conditions, and obviously the small thing, the seals, the rubber boots and bushes. Now, this is how much it's going to cost you. So you bring your car to DTW and you ask, where can I change my suspension, my shocks? Now, changing of rear springs and front springs. One spring is 14,584 shillings. The front one is 17,112. Okay, that is just a setup for the springs. Shocks is 14,709, and of course the rear shocks is 16,904. The radiator, which you need also to replace, costs you 37,359. If you do the math all together, this is just basics. This is tires, not even tires, springs, shocks, and radiator. It's going to cost you 186,000 shillings. So put that on your market price for your 8-year-old Polo, which is 1.3 million. Already you're close to 200,000 mark. You're at 1.5 million shillings. Now your car comes with either 16-inch or 17-inch tires. One tire, brand new tire, will cost you an average of 10,000 shillings or more. If it's a 16-inch, if it's a 17, it's going to be about 15K. So multiply that by 4, probably get 60,000 shillings. You're already at the 1,560 mark. Okay? Then you need to do your servicing. Obviously, you do have minor, major, and of course, the intermediate one. So assuming you're going to take a major service, it's going to cost you 17,000 shillings. Okay? The total is run close to 1.6 million shillings. You've not driven the car, you haven't done insurance, which is going to cost you 4% of the actual value of the car. 4% of 1.2 million shillings, Mr. Mirigi, is what?
About 48,000.
48,000 or 50K.
Yeah.
You're already at 1,650,000, which is very close to this, but you have no extra value. What is the value I'm talking about? 3-year, 120,000 kilometer warranty, stress-free driving. You have a choice of choosing either free fuel for 1 year or free services for 3 years. Now, my math, I might not be the best in math. Mr. Mirigi is actually the genius when it comes to mathematics, but it just makes sense to buy a brand new car with less stress and of course the residual value of this particular car. Remember also, the Greatwall Polos also come with DSG gearbox, which have proved to be problematic in this region. And this one comes with a 6-speed IC automatic gearbox, Japanese, meaning reliable. So, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Would you pick this particular car or a grey import and tropicalize it to this level? Does it make sense to you? Send us your thoughts as seen on social media handles below. We'll get back to you next week with the thoughts and comments. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Cars with Big Boy Trev. As always, an honor. If you have any questions, comments, or queries, don't hesitate to write to us. I see on the social media handles below, and we'll get back to you next week. Signing out, this is Big Boy Trev.
This is Mirigi. Drive safe
and be safe.